Hey everyone, we're live. Finally, we're late. I know. Sorry, we had little tech issues there, but we have figured it out. So I'm Christopher Swan, and this is another episode of Our Stories Live. And this show is interviews with people that are celebrating what makes them different and how they're using it to power their career and their life. And these happen every 2 weeks, or they will going forward. And I think one of the best things about this show is that they're live, so that makes them candid. So there's no rehearsed questions. In fact, our guest today, I just told him a couple of the things I might ask him, but I've actually not told him anything else. So that's the beauty of this. We get to hear honest answers and thoughtful things. So before I get too much further, I'm going to bring our guest on. So let me switch over here. And we'll bring Michael on. Everybody, this is Michael Barnum. Welcome, Michael.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Sure, absolutely. I'm glad to have you on here. So for people that don't know, Michael and I have actually known each other for a while now. I think it's been a couple years or more.
Was it like 2016-ish? I think that's the last time that we actually were like physically together doing like an interview.
Maybe.
I think.
Into 16, beginning of 17?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. We go way back.
Way back. So the nice thing is that Michael and I do know each other. I've actually interviewed him for the podcast, My Big Story. But I brought him on today because I wanted to tell a little bit of a different story. Because this show's angle is a little different, where Michael and I talked before about like the why he's in music and kind of his trajectory, like, you know, what his big story is around music. And so this angle is more about the things that make Michael different and how he's using that within this music career and this passion and dream of his. So before we get into it, I know there's a lot of people here probably that already know Michael, but I'm going to tell a little bit about Michael. So you're a singer-songwriter. You also... I know this because you actually told it to me on the podcast. I was the first, I think, to hear it publicly. You took a leap, leaving your day job to pursue your dream in music. And that was
Yes.
a little bit ago. And I think that's an important thing that we want to talk about later. You also recently released a new EP called Breaking Habits. And full disclosure, I already asked, like, could you maybe play a little bit of it for me? So we'll get to that hopefully at the end. So stay tuned.
That's what that's for.
Yeah. And other things are, you've actually released other music as well. And you've been doing this since, I think, like 2015 was your first release, whereas Where I've Been. And then you've released another EP and a couple singles in between there, including even a Christmas single.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I've been singing since I was 4 years old, and music, the whole idea of like songwriting is fairly new to me. So yeah, I've got a couple songs under my belt, and it's been a really wild journey so far.
That's great. Yeah, well, I've enjoyed it, and I've known you since right after your first EP came out, I think.
Yeah, that was Trust. Yeah. First one.
Actually, you know, it was when you recorded Universe on the YouTube video.
Oh yeah, that's right. And I was wearing like a yellow shirt. Yeah, and we were in my producer's home, and where we actually concepted that entire record, which was such a treat to be.
That is actually what I fell in love with, because you've recorded Universe a couple times.
Yeah.
And I think that is my favorite version of it still, because I think it's so raw, and I love the element that goes with it. So, side note.
I like that.
That's flashing back to me about how we've actually connected.
Yes.
So this is what I want to do. I just want to kind of jump into the conversation and dive in with some deeper pieces. Yeah. I don't want to start with the light. Let's start with a little bit of the heavy. Does that sound good?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So I've been thinking about this for a while as I thought, bringing you on. There are a ton of people in the music scene. It's a crowded space. And I'm wondering, how do you stay positive and not discouraged by knowing there's so much competition out there?
Oof. Okay. Yeah, we are starting here. You know, it's really funny. I have to make note of this. I feel like in the last few months, just this year alone, I've really been aware of my surroundings and just surrounding myself with positive people that uplift me, because I've made the mistake before of just kind of letting the door wide open, letting anybody in. We're just like, yeah, they want to work together, let's work together and stuff. But I found that keeping the door too wide can lead to like bringing some bad energy in. And I've had a lot of people that I had to cut out of my life because I found them not adding value to my life. But I'm happy to say, like, right now, Christopher, like I feel like I'm the most happiest because I've done that. I've surrounded myself with people who uplift me every single day. I feel like I can look at every single person that's in my like tight knit circle and say that they add value to my life, that they're bringing positive vibes, and they're genuinely there for me. They love me for who I am and support me through everything. And so to all my friends and family out there, the people that are in that circle, thank you so much for being here and supporting and keeping me driven. But to go off your question about like the competition, of course, Los Angeles is like the home of everybody trying to pursue a career in acting or performance or music in general. It does get very hazy sometimes, and people often ask me like, why don't you live in LA? And I'm like, well, I mean, I'd love to, and that'd be cool, but as much as I would like to live in LA, like specifically, it to me, the idea of doing that, it seems like it'd be emotionally draining for me. So I kind of like put that on the back burner. But it's been a crazy journey so far. But I really do feel like I'm in a really great place. And what keeps me going is starting each day with a grateful heart. Like mentally, when I wake up in the morning, I'm just kind of like, thank you for the roof over my head. Thank you, Mom and Dad, for supporting me at my gigs. Thank you to the people that continue to tune in and listen to my music, even if it's just, one person. Like, as long as I've made a difference in someone's life through music, then I feel like I've done my job.
That's a great way to like stay positive about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Then what do you think makes you stand out in the crowd of this sea of people, musicians in Southern California or the world?
Yeah, that's interesting. I've said this before, and I don't know all the answers, but I feel like I am just breaking ground into who I am as a person in general, as an artist. With the music that I'm putting out now, I feel like I'm now reaching an audience that is intently listening. Like, they were listening before, but now I feel like they're really listening. And I think what separates me from that is truth. Like, right now, the music that I'm writing and the interactions that I'm having with people right now, it's always, I try to center all of that around being truthful. And as an artist, I feel it's so important to share your truth. Because when you do, people lean in and listen. At least from my experience, I feel that they do.
It's interesting that it almost sounds like to me that you had to go through a few years to really find how you stood out. Like, that people are intently listening now. Like, you were doing it, and you knew, and you were going through the I don't know, I don't want to say the motion. You're obviously, you were learning, you were doing stuff, you're producing music, but it wasn't until like later that you're saying that it like kind of caught up to you.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. I feel like it during that, when I started like making my own music, I was still finding my voice. I was still trying to find out who Michael was, and it's still an ongoing journey. I'm like, this is what we're on, but I feel like I'm a lot closer to that truth and whatever that realness is that's centered into me now more than ever.
When you talk about your truth, though, is that like truth in lyrics, truth to the way you show up, truth to what you stand for? Like, what are those things? What kind of truth or what parts of your truth are coming out in your work?
Because when I was growing up, I still identify as an introvert, but I feel like now I'm like more introverted, extroverted, which, by the way, I looked at all that information. I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely that. I looked it online, but yeah. So that truth is, for me, is just being authentically myself. Like, gone are the days where I feel like I had to like put on a mask to sound like somebody else, to be like somebody else, and every time I've done that, it's always like resulted in something really bad. And so really taking the leap in my own life of sharing who I am through my music, through my art, just through human interaction, has been so rewarding, and gets me closer to really connecting with the world in a more intimate and personal way.
Was it uncomfortable though?
Oh yeah,
Like,
are you kidding me? It is.
because
It
you
is.
talked about that mask, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, so many
yeah.
people have done that. But then to
Oh
take it off makes
gosh.
you vulnerable.
Yeah, it's. I think it's. If anything, I think it's even more uncomfortable to share your truth than it is to hide behind your
Totally.
truth, because there's just so much effort you have to do in that. But like, oh, by all means, none of this was easy at all to shed light on stories that I didn't want to share. Some of these songs are so personal to me, and I still like this do this when I'm listening to my own music. But I'm like, oh my god, there's somebody in Malaysia listening to this song right now. Like, what?
Yeah.
It just blows my mind. But I know in doing that, I'm doing a service not only to myself but to the world. And I feel like we are, especially as artists, we are called to share our truths. We are called to express and share what we have to say. And if we don't do that, it feels like that you'd be doing a disservice to the world and everyone else, because you're not sharing the gifts that are within you, that are absolutely worth sharing.
Yeah. I mean, I absolutely agree. And I think it's
Yeah.
funny when you mention you cringe sometimes, or you,
I'm doing this because I'm thinking about it right now.
because
Ugh.
I do this as well when, like, like people listening to the podcast, or it's something that I always think about. I love that they're doing it, and it feels vulnerable at times.
Yeah.
But there's funny if they start with the podcast and they start with some of the oldest ones. I'm like, oh, don't start there. Don't start there.
I know.
Start with the newest.
Yeah, exactly. I have some people listening to our podcast that we did a couple of years ago, and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my god, that's like so long ago. I was like a baby, a fetus, and was still kind of figuring out everything. So it's nice
Yeah.
that they can go to this now to see where I am. But it's cool to measure that journey, that trajectory of both of our paths.
It is, yeah, and it's a nice milestone in the middle there to check from. So, okay, then I want to talk about. I think we've been almost dancing around it a little bit though, but I want to know more about, like, how did you figure out that music was actually your purpose to follow?
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question.
And I say purpose, which I want to frame that differently than a passion or a dream, because those things are probably true for you as well.
Yeah.
But purpose is something that it's a driver, right? It brings meaning, knowing that you had to do it. So I'm curious why that.
Absolutely. I think from a very young age, I always knew that I wanted to do music, and I never knew what that was going to result in. Again, I've been singing since I was 4, but the idea of like songwriting never really crossed my mind until just recently. But I think it's just continuously, writing music and seeing how people respond to it. Whenever I get messages, and this, some of them are not even vocal, they don't publicize it. I get like DMs and they're like, your music saved my life. Or I hear stories of like, wow, this is exactly what I needed to hear. That for me, Christopher, just validates my work as an artist. And I think it goes beyond just being passionate. It really is. Music is my purpose. I believe in healing people through music. And I've been healed myself through music. There have been times where I've, fallen in really dark moments of my life where music has been my savior. And not to be too religious, but for me, whatever higher power you believe in, it's God. I feel like music is my gift, and it's my call in this world to share it with everyone.
Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. That why you're being vulnerable with it. Then like
Yeah.
if it's your gift to share, you want to be able to share it your way, right? Not somebody else's. And knowing that it's your purpose, then I'm going to go back to that. One of those things I mentioned earlier when I introduced you, which is that you took this leap of faith, leaving your day job to pursue this music full time, which I know had to be scary. And I know you mentioned it, like when you just made that decision, you were going to leave that day job and like there was no safety net anymore. Why
And I announced it right in that podcast.
Yeah.
I gave you the exclusive.
You did.
And I was like, you better hold me to it. If I don't do it, we'll go back to this and be like, you've said it here. It's out in the world. And
I think that was the
did
beauty of it, right? Because I'm like, I'm not editing that out. Like you did it.
Yeah.
So
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, tell me more about like why you chose to do that. Like why do it, and maybe even why then?
Yeah. Well, I say this to many people who ask about this story. I feel like it's the train that should have left a long time ago. I was at that job for about 4 years, and
Mm.
once the 2 year mark came in, I was like, I think I'm ready to leave. But I was too scared, like too afraid to take the leap. And I'm like, what if it's not going to work out? But fast forward another 2 years, and I felt absolutely like miserable. And was walking into that office feeling like emotionally drained, and just I didn't want to be there. And it's nothing against the company itself, but like I just felt like the energy is being sucked out of me every time I walked in there. And even the person, like one coworker would ask for something, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to do it. And I found myself being at that job, and when I get off that job, I'd have a gig, and I'm like, why is the only fun I had all day at that gig, and I only paid for like 20 minutes? And
Yeah.
the voice in my head was kind of like, well, Michael, why don't you just do that for the rest of your life? And then the other voice is like, wait, how do we do that? And you're like, well, just take the leap, go do music. And so, I somehow came up with the courage to just walk into my boss's office and be like, I want out of here. And so, by all means, it's been scary, like to have taken that leap, but it's also been the most rewarding and the most gratifying thing ever, because, and I say it's the scariest thing I've ever done, because I had to walk away from some stability, and there was no safety net of like falling back on another career. It was like music or nothing, and so
Yeah.
far it's kept me afloat. So I'm doggy paddling my way through life, I guess you could say.
Did you have a plan, like when you went into your boss's office and you said, "Hey, I got to be out of here"? Like, did you have some sort of like even rough outline straw man that I was
No,
like, "I'm going to do these things"?
No, I had not. Like, I just knew. I'm like, I think in my head I was just like, I'm just gonna like gig as much as I can. I'll just play as many gigs as I can, and hope somebody hires me to play gigs to keep me afloat. But I remember talking to my mom, which actually led to like an inspiration for one of the songs. But like, she was telling me, if you're gonna leave, then you have to have like a fallback or something like that. And my mom is like a strict Filipino mom, like raising these very these understandings that you have to have a job that pays the bills, and stuff. And don't get me wrong, like, she's a big supporter of my career, both my parents, but they got to keep things in check, and just making sure that I can live, obviously. So I didn't have a plan at all. I was just, at that point, I was just like, I just got to do it. I remember pacing back and forth outside of my boss's office. Everyone had left, and I'm like, I'm about to drop this bomb, because it was at like the tail end of our season. And that's usually when they need the most help and stuff. And I was just like, I can't. I need to go. I got to do it. So here we are. It's so crazy how this is all panned out, because I would never have projected that it would surmount to anything like this.
Well, I think that's
At all.
actually a perfect interlude to. I've been thinking about, like, you've been doing this for a while. And from my perspective, because I'm not in music, so it really looks to me like you know what you're doing. Like you're live streaming, you're producing music, you're playing gigs. So knowing though that you didn't have a plan, but I'm wondering about, like, knowing how to grow a music career. Like, did you know what to do, or how did you learn what to do to start to grow this?
No, I don't think I knew. I think there was instances of like, oh, I think I should do this. But honestly, after I took that leap, I became a sponge and just try to absorb as much information as I could. I read books. I looked at webinars. I went to networking events and stuff, and just try to absorb as much as I could about the industry. Granted, I still don't know everything about it, but I definitely have a better understanding, and I'm more hyper aware of how it all works. But the thing that I've also learned, that especially in today in music, because it's constantly evolving. I mean, we just found out iTunes just died, which hurts my childhood, because I listened to iTunes for the longest time. But it's constantly changing, and there was a book that I was reading, and was saying, the dude that wrote the book was saying, like, take these the things I write in here as advice, but know that the industry is constantly changing. So this could not be applicable tomorrow or whatnot. So I just try to absorb as much information as I could, and try to collaborate with many other artists, and really hone in on my craft of songwriting. And I think in that time span of trying to discover and explore, I really found a love for songwriting in general, and again getting closer to that truth through music.
Tell me about the live streaming when you started doing that and the way you use that to connect with your fans and why
Yeah.
you continue to do it.
It's funny, and I love that you say that now, because I feel like now I can just own the title as a live streamer. Like, I want to update my website and be like singer, songwriter, live streamer, because again, as I was saying before our interview, that it's definitely an art form within itself. It's a whole different ball game, and there's tech issues involved, obviously. But no, I think that came in at a very special time. And when I started live streaming, there was never intention to be like, oh, I'm going to become like, I want to be the biggest, musician ever. I just wanted to share my love for music with people. I mean, literally, if you track back and watch my very first live stream, I was in my bedroom, sitting on the floor, holding this guitar, singing some Ed Sheeran songs, just because I wanted to kind of make people's day by just serenading them. So one thing led to another, and I just kept doing that. And then I started, let me just start writing my own songs. Then people started to just kind of resonate with the music. They're like, whoa, that song that you just wrote, that's really cool. You should be doing music. I'm like, me? What? No, I don't really, I'm not a songwriter. I don't do that.
I'm a live streamer. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm a live streamer. What are you talking about? But no, really. And I owe a lot to the live stream audience and my Barnumals, as we call my fan base. They've been so instrumental and vocal in this journey. They've supported and literally have been supported every single step of this journey. And I would not be here if it weren't for them, because they continue to tell me what my music does for them, and that it just, what them just being here and showing up just validates and just warms my heart in the most profound way. I'm grateful to you guys. Thank you for continuing to follow the journey.
Have you ever thought about, like, if you didn't actually do live streaming, like if you just didn't go down that road, like where you would have been today? Because
I have, yeah.
I think.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Here's something I find really interesting about what you're doing, is that you just did it. You just tried it. You just jumped in and you were doing this thing. It's not like you were a live streamer before. And it's not like you had some blueprint that said, become famous, sell lots of records, live stream. And so, because it sounds to me like there was something in you that you wanted to experiment, or you wanted a connection, or you wanted something that was really connected to who you are, your truth, something that is a little different with you, that's the route you went. So I find it curious, like, if you wouldn't have gone that route, though, if you weren't true to the thing that you wanted to do or try, you wouldn't have ended up where you're at.
That's true. I have no idea. I can't even tell you where I would be. I don't know. I would probably do some guerrilla marketing and knock on people's doors and hand CDs. I don't even know how it works anymore. Live streaming, it just kind of fell into my lap, and it is my job now. Crazy to think about. Yeah, live streaming is my job. I do live gigging and live streaming.
Yeah.
And no, I don't know. I don't know where I would be without live streaming. But one thing I do want to point out, Christopher, is you said connection, and that's the biggest thing that I've learned through live streaming, is people want to connect, and no longer gone are the days where people will just want to consume content when they want. There's a need now to and like you said, it's candid, but I feel like there is an audience out there that people want that live, to feel like they're part of something bigger.
As an independent artist, what do you worry about?
Oh, interesting. Can I just say everything?
Yes,
because
you can say it.
Okay, cool. I will say everything. I don't think there's anything specific that I worry about. Well, I think a lot of people say that because you're an independent artist, like, don't you want a record label and stuff? And I think we've spoke about this before,
Yeah.
but because I am an independent artist, I am in charge of my marketing. I'm in charge of my branding, image, social media, and stuff. And so I'm in control for the most part. So I guess even though that also even though that's cool that I can put my hand in all the bowls, it's also scary because it's just me and I have to worry about every single thing. And at some point in life, I would love to have a team that I can designate tasks to and kind of help. So all I have to focus on is just, making my music and then playing for it for people out there. But that I do definitely worry about what my tactics. I think that's something that I constantly go through every day. And there have been moments where I have to sometimes walk away from the numbers because you'll get those notifications that somebody unfollows or whatnot, and you're like, oh no, what did I do wrong and stuff, or your numbers drop and stuff. And if there's anything I've learned through live streaming or just social media in general, is that you cannot get wrapped up in the numbers. And so I've made it right. Like when I do my live streams on Twitch, I hide the numbers. I click it away. I don't want to see it because I find myself, if I see that there's only like a handful of people, then in my mind, I feel like my performance level goes down. I'm like, oh, well, there's only 3 people in here, so I'll just keep it nice and chill. So from the get-go, when I go live now, and I have no idea how many people are in the room, I just give it my 150,000% or, my all, because whether there's 3 people or 300 people, I want to make sure that everybody gets that same performance level and that I'm, giving my all.
I'm glad you talked about that. We refer to those usually as vanity metrics. It's those
vanity metrics, yeah.
Because they're not real and they don't really matter. It's the number of likes, the number of followers. I mean, unless that equates the number of sales or the number of people that come to your gigs, then it's different.
That's true.
But
yeah,
I love that you just talked about like not worrying about how many people are like watching the live stream or whatever it is. And it's something I had to learn as well. Like, I was like, wait, you're recording this, you're doing this, and there's like 4 people watching or something.
I know. But, they can catch the replay. That's
that's actually the truth is like replay can happen and you can actually get hundreds of thousands and I think really live stream, we all get into this idea, especially the newbies, that you're supposed to have this giant audience in the beginning, right? You're like, wait, I went live, like it's a big deal. And maybe for the person doing it is because it just, put yourself live is very different than recorded and filtered and all that stuff. But I think you were so onto it, and I love that even just perception of like, I want to give it my all no matter who's in the room. My perception is everybody's in the room or nobody's in the room. It doesn't matter, right? You're just going to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, and you're like, that just, I don't know why that sounds so new to me. It doesn't matter. Those are vanity numbers. That doesn't matter, people. The number of followers, unless if it's related to your sales and stuff.
Yeah.
Just real quick, I remember reading a story. There was an Instagram influencer. She was a big influencer, and she had like millions of followers, and she launched a clothing campaign to like start her own like apparel line, and she couldn't even sell 15 shirts. And I'm like, that's where it comes to play, where like you can have all the followers in the world, but that doesn't mean that every single follower there is a fan. So I've been just really, again, not trying to get wrapped in the numbers, but really trying to make sure that everyone that follows me or follows the journey is an active fan. I know these people will come to a show, will support and buy the album and stuff. Yeah. And there's nowadays, not to like, crap on people who buy likes and stuff like that, because I know there is a market for that. People do that. But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in creating an organic audience. So if anyone's out there and wants to follow the journey, please come on down and we'll show you a good time.
That last part.
Yeah.
You sort of answered this question that I have earlier in the beginning, but it's a little bit different. And because I asked you the question about like, how do you stay positive and keep going? And I want to take that a little step further, not about being positive, but as you continue to make music and as your career starts to evolve and change, because like creating this EP I would imagine must feel very different than creating the first EP, like where you were at in your journey. So I'm wondering about like, like maybe what or who keeps you moving forward? Like what inspires you to create the next music, to do the next thing? Is there something or somebody or people that inspire you in some way?
Um, oh man. Uh, yeah, it's my parents. Um, they've been so vocal, and I really owe a lot to them. So, mom and dad, if you're watching, I'm so grateful to have their support. I'm an only child, and uh, music's always been a part of my life. And we grew up. My mom and dad played music, and we'd have bands. Like my uncle was in a band. We'd have music always brimming in the household. But I think ultimately my goal in life would be, yes, to play music and and to share it with the world, Christopher. But like, I would just love to have my parents not have to work a day for the rest of their lives, and just want to give them that financial stability. And I know, God knows, that music is so stable, and that there's, it's perfect. But no, honestly, my mom and dad keep me going every single day, because there are moments where I'm at gigs, and like, my parents are my roadies. Like, I don't ask them to come to all the gigs, but they do. They show up to the gigs, and honestly, there's some part of me I'm like, wow, your parents still like will go to your, like, are still like holding your hand. I'm like, but that they choose to be there. And I used to feel so ashamed of that, just internally. I never vocalized it, but like, how grateful and how amazing is it to have your parents there, to support you? Because I know there's a lot of kids out there who don't have that support from their parents. So I'm here to say that I'm grateful to have them, and they keep me going every single day. And without them, obviously, I wouldn't be here. So it's my parents that keep me going.
And that's super sweet. I love that they are your roadies. That is hilarious.
Yeah, roadies
and
for
beautiful.
life. Yeah. Yeah.
Roadies for life. They need T-shirts. Roadies for life.
I know, we got to get T-shirts. Yeah, like my dad, like he literally rolls the cart down in, and then my mom, she'll like just like work the merch table and stuff. And I'm like, man, like, what did I look around, like, what? I get the most awesome parents ever.
Yeah, that's some great support.
Yeah. So if it wasn't for them, I don't think I would be as positive or in this great mindset, because they really keep me in check and are supportive. I mean, they'll still be like grimy and be like, hey, make sure you pay your bills and stuff like that. But I can always count on them being at a gig and blessed me to their friends and family and stuff. So
I want to turn it around now, and now thinking about what you've done for the last few years, do you have any advice for anybody else that wants to start maybe a new path, follow a dream, a passion?
Yeah. It's funny because somebody's like, I get asked this pretty often, especially in the last 2 live streams that I did. People are like, I don't feel like I have a purpose or whatnot. But the thing that I've learned in life is that you don't have to know everything. You don't. And most of the times I feel like people who do say that they know everything are the people who've kind of closed themselves off from learning. And there's this idea of making it or getting to the top or whatever that is. And for me anyway, I feel like once you're up there, that doesn't mean the road's done, that you're just like, I'm good. I know everything. That's all I need to know. No, you've just got to keep challenging yourself. So the advice I would give to people is, A, don't feel like you have to know everything. B, absorb as much information as you can. Be curious about the world. C, be patient. And lastly, make sure that whatever you do, that you always lead with your heart, and that it's something that you're truly passionate about. And there's one thing that I learned in college that I'll never forget. My voice and speech teacher, Amy Chafee, said, do everything passionately, but don't take anything personally. And so that's resonated with me, and I've taken all those life lessons that I've gotten from those professors into my life, and I've applied it to my own career as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love that. I actually love all those 3 pieces of advice.
Good, because I don't remember exactly what I said.
I like it though. Especially being curious, that I think will get you a lot.
Yeah.
So,
I did some. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I did, just real quickly. I did some traveling in the past few weeks, just to kind of. It wasn't. I think it was. I was never. didn't plan like I'm going to travel these dates because I need to separate myself from the world. It just was like an opportunity came around to travel. Like I just came back from Yosemite like 2 weeks ago. My God, it is absolutely beautiful. Let this be a Facebook ad for it, because it, like, everywhere you look, it's beautiful views all around. But I think at the core of what that trip was for me, Christopher, was like really, again, being cut off from the world. I didn't have internet. We didn't have Wi-Fi. Like, literally, you walk into our cabin, it was like, no Wi-Fi here. So everyone was forced to talk to each other. Yeah. But I really took some time to bask in nature and God's glory. And it really kind of helped me see things at a better perspective. And just when you think you've seen the world and you're there, you're like, oh my gosh, no. And this is just California. Like, what? Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great ad for it. I mean, I'm a nature boy anyway, so I'd love to be outside. And so
tag them below, folks.
For the folks that don't know, because I live in Northern California, so I'm surrounded by hills and mountains. I'm 10 minutes out of my house, I can be hiking in the mountains. So there's a reason I live here, and it's for a lot of that.
Aren't there like a row of trees just right outside your house? Because I remember like you walking through, like, I think you did like a little Instagram story thing or whatever.
Sure. I mean, maybe that was my backyard.
Oh, maybe. But other than, like, my point being is it looked really beautiful, and I love being in nature.
Yeah, so. Well, I don't live in a shabby area. Like, it's the wine country. That's actually where I live. I live near Sonoma, so it's not too bad.
Well, no wonder you're so calm and collected. And plus, it's Wednesday, so wind down Wednesday.
That's right. So one of the questions I like to usually ask, and I frame it always different, but it's really around being different. Mm-hmm. And so every person, I believe, is different, and I refer to it as like your differentness, the things that make you different and unique. Mm-hmm. I'm curious about the things that make you different, whatever those things are, and it could be big, it could be small. I'm curious, how do you think being who you are has helped you, or maybe helped others?
That's a good question. Again, I think it goes back to just authentically being yourself. And to go back quickly to the live streams, like you can't really BS on there. Like people can smell fake from a mile away. So you're kind of forced to be like authentically you and in every way you can. And you'll notice you'll see that you don't get that same return of response and engagement when you have that mask up. So I think what makes me different, oh my gosh, I don't know, I'm an only child. I love dogs. I don't have a dog. I'm a dogless dog lover. But I think at the core of what I do is just I'm really, and everyone, I'm sure people can relate, I'm just like super passionate about what I do. And I believe everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a story worth telling, which is why I love what you do, because our stories matter. And I love that. Go get your stickers.
Wait, it's like you're reading the sign behind me.
Oh yeah, that. It's actually pixelated, so I don't even know what it says for me. But no, yeah, our stories matter, and that's something that I've learned so much. And so if there's anything that people walk away with from this interview, or when you watch my live streams or watch me live, it's that you have a voice and it's worth being heard. And there's someone out there that needs to hear your voice, and to relay that back into music. I feel like what I write on this guitar here is not just for me, but for the world. Someone out there is going to resonate with what I have to say, and some people need it to get to that next step or whatever that hurdle is in their life. And so if I can be that vessel to relay that message to them through music, through what I love, then oh my gosh, how amazing is that?
I love that. I feel the same way without the music, because I don't play music, but if I can present a story, bring somebody together, share an experience that I have, that you don't know who's listening and what they will get out of that. Like, did you see that video I posted? Maybe you haven't. I posted a video a couple weeks ago that was the most vulnerable I've ever been online.
Yeah, you're in front of a white background, right?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
When I was scrolling through, okay, so quick little funny story. I was scrolling through and I'm like, wait, is Christopher working for Apple? Because it looked, and because it had that white background.
Dude,
and
that was my inspiration.
Great. That's what read across, and that's what I got. And you were authentically yourself, and it was beautiful. No, it's funny because I was trying to watch, and I'm like, oh my God, he's saying something something really, really personal. And for the love of God, it would not load. So I didn't get to see it until I finally like got home and watched it. And again, not to make fun of it, but like, thank you for sharing that. That obviously didn't, took a lot for you to share, and you did it in such a beautiful way. And I get a little emotional just thinking about it, because what you do, Christopher, is just absolutely amazing, because you are interested in the world and what people have to say. And unfortunately, the world isn't all like that. We're not so open to just want to shake people's hands and say, hi, how's your day? Tell me about your life. Like, I can even say for myself, I'm not so sure I'm that comfortable just to ask any random person, tell me about your life story. But however, you making a platform like this opens the conversation and makes me a little more open to that idea of seeing people for who they are, and realizing that everybody has stories and they're carrying something. And we don't know that unless we ask or are curious about the world. So thank you for doing that work.
Sure. And I think it's to the same point that you had earlier, that it's, you don't know who's listening, who's watching, who you're going to help. And I think that's even why, like, I posted that video, because it was, maybe somebody needs to hear this from me.
Right.
Maybe it's not for me, they just need to hear it. And I think the same thing for what you're doing. You're the vessel of that. Yeah. We definitely are getting close to the end here. And I would love, before we go, I'd love to see if we could maybe, if you're still interested, maybe perform something off your new EP for us, so we could wrap up maybe that way.
Yes, that would be really cool. Yes, I'm like thinking, I'm like, which song do I want to perform? But can I quickly plug the CD a little bit?
Oh my God, totally, absolutely.
Okay. Hi guys, my name is Michael. I'm a singer-songwriter born and raised in Los Angeles, California, Southern California to be exact. This is my album. It's Breaking Habits. It's available now everywhere music is sold. You can check it out on Spotify, Google Play, Tidal, all that stuff. You can also pick up physical copies off my website. They look like this, and they do all get signed in gold Sharpie writing. So go check it out at michael-barnum.com. Oh, wait. We're twins. Look at that. Well, there you go. See?
That's right.
As our lovely model, Christopher, is showing, you get the CD. Tell him, and you can open it up. It's there's
dropping things. Oh, yes. And it even is signed.
Yes, it's signed. Yes, you get a thank you card, and I don't know if you have it with you, but the button, that little cool Breaking Habits.
In fact, I do.
Button. Oh my gosh, yeah.
I didn't even plan that. It was really right next to me, because I told you when you sent it to me, I was like, I opened it immediately.
Yay!
Because I was like, I need to hear these songs.
Oh, thank you so much. And it's funny because people are like, I don't even have a CD player, and I'm like, you know what? That's okay, because for me anyway, I like supporting artists.
Yep.
In that way, because I feel like I'm connected to them and I have something physical that I can hold on.
Well, and I quickly imported it so I could put it into my phone. So
well, there you go.
And discovered my favorites.
Yeah. Just checking my sound here. Is it song time?
It's song time. Let's do it.
It's song time. Okay. 1 second. I'm just going to turn up a little space here. Now you can hear a little echo. Okay, cool. But this is so professional. I'm literally on the floor, like in a classroom. Okay. So this song, can you hear that okay? Hopefully you can.
Yeah, you're a little echoey in the beginning, but.
Okay, cool. All right, I turned up a little reverb just to give a little space. But so this song is probably my most vulnerable song that I've ever written, as well as like all the other songs on this album, but specifically this one because it really scares me to realize that it's out there in the world, because I didn't think that I would ever release this song. I just kind of wrote it for myself, the way I express myself. If I can't do it in words, I do it in song. And so I never thought the song would see the light of day. So the fact that there's people like all around the world listening to my stories is terrifying. But this song it means a lot to me because one of the greatest fears that I have in life is living alone for the rest of my entire life, and that scares me. And so through this song, it helped me cope with whatever I was feeling, but also reminded me that I am not alone. So again, if there's something you take away from the song, it's that you are not alone. Take those 4 words and say it to yourself, and then when you say it to yourself, say it in your head, and then think about that. So this is called Question Mark. It's literally a question mark. It's one of the tracks off the album Breaking Habits.
It's also my favorite.
Yes. Okay. Mine too. And there's a cool gospel choir in there. And that sounds really amazing. Okay. All right. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Question. Is there anyone out there for me? Question. Could there be a possibility? Question. Am I just not worthy of love? Question. When will it be my turn? I've been so patient, I've been so kind. Yet what I'm looking for, I can't find. When I find you, I will make you mine. And when I hold you, I will hang on tight. Answer. You gotta stay open. Answer. Everyone deserves a chance, but I've been so patient, I've been so kind. Why am I the one who's all alone? When I find you, I will make you mine. When I hold you, I will hang on tight. Every day it gets tougher. Sleepless nights, sleepless days. But I'm gonna stay hopeful, because love will find its way. When I find you, I will make you mine. And when I hold you, I will hang on tight. When I find you, I will make you mine. When I hold you, I will hang on tight.
That was amazing.
Thank you.
That was awesome. I think that's half the reason I can do this interviews is I get to have people perform for me.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Seriously, that was beautiful. Like I said, it's my favorite track off the EP.
I think so too. People ask me like, "What's your favorite?" And it always leads back to that one. I mean, there's some great songs on there, but that one in particular, I think because it has me in such a vulnerable place, and it comes from I'm really singing from what I feel. This is my heart and my soul. I'm glad that you resonate with it. Thank you.
I resonate because I can sense that from you, and I also feel the same. Like I'm like,
you are a detector of truth, sir. You can sense it, and that's a great instinct to have.
Well, before I let you go, and I know you talked a little bit about your merch and those different things, but what's the best places to find you online?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram and Facebook.com as well, Facebook.com/Michael Barnum Music. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. If you want to catch my live streams where I have the whole full setup in front of nice lights and stuff, that's on twitch.tv/Barnum Michael. It's BarnumIchael. But again, pick up a copy off my website of a CD. They're available. Thank you for listening.
Oh, thank you for being on. I mean, it was great catching up and actually talking about your story a little bit differently than we have before. So yeah, I'm glad. And also we've had a couple of years different, so we could see a different journey.
I know. And I think I feel like it's fate that it was at this time, maybe because we really get to see like the growth of that. And just thinking about like where we were sitting, having that podcast interview where I was still at that job I hated. And to see where I am now and to see where you are now, it's like, it's really crazy to see how that, how much we've grown.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Well, let me wrap this up and let everybody know that if you want to find more shows like this, past episodes, or even resources, you can go to accidentalinformation.com. And if you want to see other episodes of this, it happens every 2 weeks right here on Facebook or also on YouTube. So anywhere you want to be. So thanks, everybody.
Thank you for watching, guys.